The world has never existed without the concept of manipulating people's thoughts. In the near past, the world's superpowers during the Cold War maintained order through various agencies that would purposely manipulate the truth. Most people are aware of the fact that the Soviet Union indeed used propaganda to hide information from the public. But the United States was not immune from this behavior either. The U.S. Information Agency was the entity that would control and manipulate information to a certain extent. Specifically, the author Nicholas J. Cole cites the U.S. Information Agency as the primary agency that basically produced propaganda. Specifically, they were in control of America's international information, broadcasting, and educational cultural exchange activities during the Cold War. There are even examples of the U.S. government purposely funding comic strips during the Cold War, which would paint the Soviet Union in a negative light. Specifically, the comic strip Buzz Sawyer was produced in collaboration between the author and the U.S. government and starred a former U.S. Navy pilot who would battle Cold War enemies and primarily the Soviet Union. However, this talk is on the present situation of how propaganda is being used currently. Most people know that social media is being used to manipulate people's ideas, as evidenced by Mr. McTalk's analysis of the concept of fake news. He outlines that although Google was the original target of political candidate scorn, Facebook and Twitter have switched to being the most recent targets, especially after the 2016 US presidential campaign. In addition, NATO has acknowledged how useful social media can be for, mind warfare. Specifically, NATO used social media to manipulate a Latvia soldier to leave his post during some training regime. The fact that companies and organizations are already manipulating people's actions using social media should concern you, the audience. But this is not the end of this discussion regarding modern propaganda. Recently, a new form of technology has been introduced with the coin name of deepfakes. This technology consists of making someone look like they did something which they did not do. This can be something as harmless as impersonating a famous actor, such as what this film studio did with the Tom Cruise deepfake.
Making me a little uncomfortable.
Sure, yeah, I'm sorry.
Just right now, thank you.
Yeah,
Before
it's
we begin.
just a fun thing.
I know, but it's past. It's in the past, and I live in the moment,
That's true. Yeah,
So-
totally, me too.
Good.
This video clip is most definitely harmless, and a decent example of the good that can be done with deepfakes. They had the mindset of creating something that would amuse people, yet not manipulate said people. However, there are cases of deepfakes being used for far more lucrative purpose. The purpose of propaganda. In Danielle Citron's TED Talk, she introduced the concept of using deepfakes to defame and belittle people. In a sense, it's a new form of slander, but a far more clever form of slander that can and has fooled people. Deepfakes are used for this purpose, but her talk barely mentions the fact that deepfakes are being used more for the purpose of fooling people with some ulterior motive that typically lies with a politically affiliated body. In addition, her talk solely uses one example for evidence that deepfakes are harmful and that laws should be passed to fix them. For some people, one example and some metaphors may have been enough, but if that's the case, then deepfakes will and have possibly already fooled said people. In this talk, I wish to convince the rest of the people in this audience that deepfakes should not be taken lightly and that they are the new form of modern propaganda. In today's society, where everyone is already aware of and are familiar with the concept of fake news, having a way of making very vivid yet false clips of political figures should concern you. In this case, the political party named, effectively SPA, created a Donald Trump deepfake to prompt, or more quite frankly, push the party's ideas. As seen in this brief clip,
Dear people of Belgium, this is a huge deal. As you know, I had the balls to withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement, and so should you. Because what you guys are doing right now in Belgium is actually worse.
This clip, though, presents a political figure saying and presenting SPA's ideas. If you had watched this video on a cell phone or were viewing the video from a couple feet away, I'd imagine that you could be, quite frankly, easily fooled by this deepfake. And although the SPA party clearly does state at the end of the video that this is a fake video,
The climate change is fake, just like this video.
there are still people who are fooled by this video, as most people on the social media do not watch the full video, or they watch edits of it which remove purposely the end credits, which basically means that most people would think this is true. Specifically, in an article published by The Guardian, reactions to this deepfake were presented. One woman gave the statement, Humpty Dumpty, Trump needs to look at his own country with his deranged child killers who just end up with the heaviest weapons in schools. So clearly some people were fooled by this video. Ispat had put more effort into this video by improving the deepfake and adjusting the word choice slightly so it was not using as much curses, I guess you could say. Then this video could have fooled far more people. This is a main example of a clear-cut case of deepfakes being connected to a government body. But if one looks deeper into some other deepfakes, hidden propaganda will reveal itself. Rana Ayyub is a muckraking journalist in India who purposely tries to expose the Indian government's inner corruption. In 2018, a deepfake of her was created where she, or at least her face, was placed onto an actor for a pornographic scene. For obvious reasons, I will not be showing the clip, but regardless, this destroyed Rana Ayyub's career and could be considered a form of propaganda. Other famous women have had similar deepfakes made of them, such as Scarlett Johansson. None of these figures, though, had the same background as Rana Ayyub. Rana Ayyub was a journalist. That was no doubt a bit of a problem for corrupt officials in India, as she was trying to expose them and purify the government. And although there are no direct links between the deepfake and said corrupt officials, money or maybe just encouragement could have exchanged between the two and pushed for this deepfake to exist. So a connection could be proposed per se. Every student, faculty member, staff should be aware of ASU's recent commitment to being sustainable by having goals of reducing emissions, carbon footprint, etc., etc. There are trash cans that have clearly pictured items describing what they can be composed, recycled, or just thrown away. In addition, there are light switches that have covers that try to persuade employees to use less electricity. These goals are all good, but what if there was a video of Mr. Michael Crow, where all these commitments were retracted?
Students of ASU, I wish to make an announcement that is of great concern to all of you. We are unfortunately not number 1 in innovation, we're number 11. This whole time, we have been charging a remove the 1 fee on your tuition. The true order is 11th for ASU, 12th for Stanford, and 13th for MIT. I am so sorry, but I regret nothing. The next announcement is that we are retracting the sustainability goals for ASU as of now, and are instead building a new wing onto the Bateman Physical Science Center where petroleum research will occur. As we see it now, that oil and coal are the future for ASU, not solar or wind. I am sorry for all the students and faculty who have been hurt by our previous goals of sustainability, but going forward, solar energy producers will be excluded. This announcement goes with my last and final announcement, ASU's new charter. ASU is a comprehensive public research university, measured not by whom it includes, but by who it excludes and how they fail. Advancing research and discovery of unethical value and assuming zero responsibility for the economic, social, cultural, and overall health of the communities it serves. The tuition reductions will not go into effect until spring of 2039, so that we can cover our remaining sustainability debts. I wish all of you the best of luck for your upcoming exams, and go Devils.
This should frighten you to a certain extent, although this video may be a little goofy to begin with due to, well, just picking a roommate and having them pretend to be Mr. Crow. The deepfake itself was not bad for a couple CS students. Is it perfect? No, of course not. The voice was a particular problem with it, and, the rest of the look and not having, a proper attire to wear. But the tracking his face onto my friends was not bad. Just using a simple sample size of 30 minutes of video, we got something that was passable. Quite frankly, it was more tuning. This could fool people. And that clearly demonstrates the problem with deepfakes and propaganda. These examples should at the very least demonstrate the fact that deepfakes are being used for propaganda. What should discourage you even more is that researchers are still struggling to come up with countermeasures to deepfakes. However, I don't wish to have everyone believe right away after this TED Talk that deepfakes are dangerous. Instead, people should research this topic more, and at the very least should be more skeptical of everything they see, because after all, deepfakes can easily fool people and push propaganda, as they are the modern propaganda.